shake your back for you.
I won't.
All right. Welcome to Titan Talk. We're running a little early today. It's Monday. Hope everybody had a good weekend. And myself, Lieutenant Coop. We got Lieutenant McFarland, our local talent.
That's right.
We have our second guest joining us today. We have Lieutenant Rosas here with us. Go ahead and say hi, Lieutenant Rosas.
How's it going?
He is our temporary service manager. So he's our guy who runs all our PRN officers and gets them scheduled and gets them aligned. And we're going to talk with him a little bit about what PRNs do, how that whole system works, and then just kind of go about it a little bit of the day. So, Lieutenant Rosas, grace us with how the PRN structure works.
Yeah, so that was something we kind of started officially in April of this year. We've been doing it for, at least a year before that as well. It's just nothing official. So what we do is everything's based off of an urgent or immediate need. So this is mainly for new clients. From time to time, though, we will work with existing clients, for fire watches, that sort of thing. Our PRNs, which is our officers dedicated just to the temporary services, they're per request needed. So we started with, 10, 15 of them that just...
how long ago was that? When we first implemented, about a year ago, maybe? That we first started using PRNs?
Yeah, I
and
think
you
we're about it.
organically managed them and then moved into your new role as far as the temporary services manager.
And it kind of started like how our on-calls work, It was just, hey, get there when you can. Nothing's really set in stone, and we were able to kind of build some structure with it and get those guys kind of just truly working contract work.
Right.
That's really what it was. So since April, though, we've been just absolutely killing it. Our PRNs, we started with about, like I said, 10 or 15, and we just have been knocking it out of the park. Those guys have moved on also to some other Titan posts, but had the opportunity to move up.
I remember when we first started that, we were all kind of wondering to ourselves, is this something that's really going to take off? And then just throughout the time so far, it's blown up. I mean, it's absolutely taken off.
I agree, too. I was like, well, they're just basically kind of like another on-call. They're kind of in this void area, but credit to our director, Kyle. I mean, it was his idea originally, and temporary services are a crucial part of our business, and I mean, enough to dedicate an entire lieutenant to it. That you've obviously done a fantastic job is helping us out when we need help with scheduling and stuff, and then managing your own book of business there too. So a lot of people don't realize how busy or time consuming that can be. I imagine people call and say, hey, I need a guard at 3:00, and it could be 1 in the afternoon. So it's like you jump on it.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. Is we any of our new startups that we have with your guys' permanent contracts, they're able to jump in there. We kind of started using them over the last month to get those going and trust those guys to make the clients happy there.
Well, and we know that the way you manage them, that we can trust that they're going to do
Sure.
the tasks and the things that we ask them to do, which is a huge relief for us, because then we can focus on our existing people that are paying the bills, and so it's important to grow, and I know the owner of the company wants to grow. We all want to, and I think it's good that we can do that in a healthy way to where we're not taking on so much business that we can't facilitate. So I think that PRN program is huge.
Yep.
So when it comes to that, when the client reaches out, usually what's the kind of process with that when you get those guys out there? Say they call at noon and they're like, hey, I need somebody at 5.
Well, that's when the flexibility of the PRNs takes place, And if there's any PRNs watching or anything, they know the deal. They'll get a phone call, and I'll say, hey, can you be there in a couple of hours? And they've been so good to us that 9 times out of 10 they'll be there. We'll get somebody there.
Right. And I know that's usually a more experienced officer, so they're pretty well taken care of as well. So it's a good one hand washes the other technique, I think. That, again, it just keeps us healthy, and that's what we want to be in the industry. And as we grow, grow like a muscle, not like a weed. And so it's really nice to see that program take off the way it has. And I think a credit to you a lot. You and I started together working lieutenant overnight shifts, and now we've moved ourselves into different positions. But it's good to see what I think 2 years ago we never really thought would happen actually come to fruition. So
absolutely, and it gives these PRNs the opportunity to move. We had a couple that moved to KCATA last week or the week before. Give them an opportunity to prove themselves here in front of clients, in front of brand new day of clients, and work their way up as well, which is what's important.
So I think this would be a good time to use a shameless plug here. If there's anybody that isn't currently working for Titan and wants to become, well, what are we at now? What do you think? How many do we have now?
We're at 40 now. 40
40?
PRNs. Started with 15. We're at 40.
Man, that's some growth right there for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I see probably one or two on average. Sometimes a few more during our NEO or our new hires, but I want to say it's pretty steady, like one or two a week. I think.
Sure. Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And they go through a little bit more of an interview process.
Mm-hmm.
The fresh ones right out of class, and then everybody can take advantage of the transfer document that's on eHub. If that's something that they're interested in, fill it out. It just works like any other site. Give us 30, 60 days. Let's look over your record and see how you're doing, and we can definitely consider you and bring you in for an interview.
Yeah, there's definitely those that have been with us for a while that me and Lieutenant Coop have built a relationship with that I could think off the top of my head that probably deserve a shot at it.
Sure.
So if you guys are interested, and some people are happy with what they're doing, they like their position and pay where it is, but anybody that wants to grow with the company as we grow, that's exactly right. That transfer, I think it's an eHub, right? The document, you fill that out.
In the document section down there in eHub.
Yeah, fill that out, submit it, and that makes us aware, and we know that you're serious about making that transition.
So kind of a question I've always thought about when it comes to the PRNs, the stability. A lot of the times that I run into officers, they're always about stability and stability and stability. That's kind of where that PRN function, you kind of lose some of that because it makes up for it in that pay category, because we're getting that last minute call from the client saying, hey, I need somebody in 3 hours. We lose a little bit of that stability, but they gain that back in that financial area.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we tried to accommodate a little bit to that, because it is, a lot of these guys, 90% of them, they got families at home too. You want to be at home with the families. So the way that we're trying to fix that with PRNs, Corporal Perkins is helping with our scheduling for the PRNs. So he's trying to get these guys assigned to just one contract. When a contract comes in, they'll work that for the length of the contract. Exactly. Right. So that way it's not one day here, the next day another.
A little bit of sense of, hey, for the next 5 weeks at least, this is where you're going to be, and not so much, am I getting a call today, am I getting a call tomorrow, and stuff like that.
Bringing back some of the stability, maybe not all of it, but bringing back some of it with the contract we know is going to be 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, a month. We know, hey, for the next 5 weeks, you're going to be out at this post.
Yep.
But in that 5 weeks after that, if they don't renew that contract, now you go somewhere new.
Yep, exactly.
Perfect. Gary, thank you for joining us. Good comment on that. Good question. Is there anything new in the works for Topeka that you know of for PRN or anything?
That's a really good question. We get a lot of offers, a lot of clients calling from Topeka. We just don't have a large amount of officers out there. I think
say the officer
one
base
or
out
two.
there. Yeah.
So it requires a special license. If anybody's interested in getting that, especially if they live in the area, that would be huge. So, Gary, that's a really good question. If you live in the area and we'll take care of your licensing if that's something you're able to do, and help out with some of that temporary stuff out there.
Perfect.
That's what the podcast's for.
Yeah.
Get the word out.
Phenomenal question, Gary. Good job on that. Yes, Billy, we have Rosas on with us today. You could say hi to Billy, your favorite person in the world.
Yes, Billy used to be a PRN, and she just didn't make the cut anymore, so we've moved her to KCATA.
Which is another fantastic site.
Yes.
So.
No. Billy was with us from the beginning, did a great job, and was offered an opportunity with the KCATA, which she took. And again, it's better for her and her family, and she served her time as a PRN, And we're really happy that she's over there with those guys.
Yep. Perfect. We actually just moved one of our officers from on-call that you and I used to rely on a lot, and we talked about it last week. I don't know if you know. I'll keep his name anonymous for now, but somebody that was an on-call for us for a long time, many years, which is a very tough. It's real similar to the PRN system. It's every day. It's a different day. Some people like that, which is fine. I always tell the guys, like back when I was in college, and could move my sleep schedule around and stuff, and I would just sit there and wait for a call and get paid while I'm waiting. Like that would be easy, but now. No, not so much. It takes me longer to get up the stairs now. So I like knowing where the dog bowl is at the beginning and end of the day. So, but this podcast is a great way for people that want to maybe change something up and try a new position and see what you can do there and essentially move up in the company, just like the on-call is moving. He's moving to a full-time gig that is over a PBA, and Billy, another perfect example of that's how you get recognized. And you build a relationship with lieutenants and Lieutenant Rosas with the PRNs. I mean, I'm sure you know all of them on a first-name basis and speak to them all weekly, and so that's how you get recognized. And if you feel like you're putting in the hours and you're not moving, reach out to us, and that's something we could do for you.
That's actually one of the things that when I started, that was kind of how it ended with me, or it started with me, is I started at a contract in Lawrence, Kansas, and started picking up a bunch of price choppers, Aldi's, a bunch of random stuff that we did, some temp stuff that we did periodically. And next thing I know, I got a phone call saying, hey, are you interested in patrol still? Absolutely. Well, you put your time in, you're killing yourself for us, so let's try you on patrol and move you forward from there. And so, as we've seen recently, our PRNs who put in that work, who are phenomenal and been doing a good job, let's say they're interested in something else, they put their feet in the water, for lack of a better way of saying it, and next thing you know, now we've got movement to KCA, TA, movement to on-calls, movement to a more stable site and stuff like that. And so doing that type of thing really shows, and it's recognized by all of us. It may not be something that we recognize every day, but it is something that doesn't go unnoticed for sure.
Sure, and that, you actually bring up a really good point. It used to be, even when I started, you were a couple years before me, but 4 or 5 years ago, the only way you really got recognized was patrol.
Yeah. Because
it was something that you spent time with the higher ups or supervisors, and now not everybody's cut out for patrol. There's a lot of moving. I mean, I get out in the field as much as I can, but I couldn't do it 5 days a week like I did overnights, and it's hard on your body. And so there's good officers, just maybe aren't patrol quality, that are now getting recognized because of these programs.
On call, PRN, and these programs like that. Billy says Rosas is a great LT if you go PRN. So
that's debatable.
There's some words for you there, being kind to you.
Yeah, they're nicer to you than they are to me. But it's usually just
well, they deal with him more.
Yeah, it's usually just.
Plus, I'm pretty sure everyone's nicer to him than they are to you.
Probably, which is weird because I'm nicer than most of the lieutenants. I'm the nice one. They're like, hey, I can't come in. I'm like, all right, whatever, I'll take care of it.
And that is a good point. When it comes to the PRN crew, you do get a little bit more of that personal touch to things.
Right.
You guys, the 4 of you guys, you're dealing with every single officer that works for the company, and doing your absolute best to talk to them almost every single day.
Right.
With a smaller group of 30 to 40 PRNs, they get the opportunity to talk to us more.
Right.
Mrs. Rosas says debatable.
Ha!
That's fair.
Ha! I got ammunition and a teammate.
Well, she'll be receiving paperwork today, sure.
Well, Brittany, thank you for joining us today. This is great. All right. Seems like those burns are creating hostile work environment. We kind of go along with that a little bit.
We can't just throw that label around here that easily. But what would you say the most difficult thing about, not having been a PRN yourself and managing them, what do you think the most, I'm sure it's a time crunch thing, but aside from that, because I think that's kind of a given, what's something that's difficult for the PRNs that you see on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, well, it's a go thing. It's quick, and it moves real quick. So in a perfect world, you guys are going to have your schedule at least a week in advance and rock out with that. But sometimes there's that 2-hour window where they need somebody, and
right.
that client's going to pay a premium for it, but somebody still has to get out there. So that's credit to Perkins as well, Corporal Perkins. He'll if we're looking for somebody, he'll suit up and get out there until we can find somebody.
Well, he's downstairs with us in the squad room, and you can tell he's really starting to kind of catch on to things. It's like you said, it's go, and that's in every aspect. Quality and speed are two of our words we live by here.
Yep.
That comes straight from the owner, and it's a recipe for success. And so, sorry, I forgot to hit the mute button. Coop I can feel him looking at me. I apologize for that. So it's just something that the PRNs, they literally, that should be their motto, is speed and quality. And it's true, because like you said, with all the new startups, if we don't have somebody hired for it yet because they want to push the startup date or whatever, we are trying to be as accommodating as humanly possible, and the PRNs take the baton and run with it. So it's great to have that program and to have somebody like you that's so good at managing it, because it makes our lives easier when we're trying to, like I said, keep the existing clients happy. Because again, there's 4 of us that do that. It's a full-time gig. I don't even know how many clients off the top of my head we have, but some Excel spreadsheet will probably tell you, and it's a lot. So, we want to be able to take on more.
Yep. And I think Billy breaks it down, says it best. It's an everyday thing. It's not something that, you'll get 1 or 2 phone calls a week. This is the PRNs those are employees are going to get calls every day saying, hey, these new clients just started, or this client just started, or this one canceled, so now I'm moving you to this one. And so it's an everyday, ongoing process that it's an ever-changing thing.
Yeah. And you're going to get your days off. You're going to get 2 days, but you're probably going to get phone calls on those days. that's just part of the gig, I don't think, when's the last time, any of us didn't receive a phone call on our days off? It's just part of the gig, and it's part of what we've accepted, and that's made pretty transparent from the get-go with PRN.
Right.
So, and, I'm a family man myself, but we got to take care of business as well.
Yep, absolutely. Got to feed the babies.
Yep.
Billy, it's exactly at what are days off. No, and we feel that definitely. We know not just us, but everybody has had that feeling from time to time where you're moving 24/7, 365, and you kind of forget what a day off is. So.
Well, and that's important for our guys to know too, that it's good to take days off and everything, but when you see your supervisors, I use a story all the time. When I was growing up, I worked for just a construction gig where a guy renovating houses in front of the family. I'm not going to get too into detail, but there's a day he kind of came to check on one of the sites, and I was ripping up a subfloor, and there's no good way to do it. It's just tedious, long, hard work, and he was in flip-flops and I think like shorts, board shorts, and a t-shirt, because he was just checking, and he jumped in and worked an hour with me, and it's like, I want to work for someone like Ryan Smith that does the same thing. He grinds with all of us every day, my direct boss, and so we try to lead by example with that and show these guys that we're always working for you. And when you're out in the elements and the heat, you can think and know that just because we may be in here, we're still grinding just as hard, and it's a very motivating thing to see, and the PRNs are perfect examples of how that works.
Yep.
Billy, thank you for joining us today. You as well. Have yourself a great day. Stay safe. Stay hydrated. It's going to be a muggy day today, so just stay safe out there. Brittany, phenomenal comment. It's awesome to see how quick and willing PRNs are to jump and take care of the newest clients. And I think that's a credit to not only Lieutenant Rosas and Corporal Perkins, but the PRNs themselves, and succeeding in that is they're so willing to help that. They get that call and say, hey, this is starting in an hour. Here's the address. This is all the information I have. As soon as I get more, I'll give it to you. And being able to take that and run with it and adjusting as necessary as the day goes on, it's just a phenomenal trait that a lot of our PRNs are showing.
Yeah, and that's going to help us grow into other areas as well, which I think is the end game here, is to move this out of Kansas City as well and see where it'll take off.
Yeah, see how many states we can see our name on signs and patrol cars rolling around. The more the merrier, And I think you kind of set the tone, and you kind of touched on it earlier. It's a bit more of a vetting process, but I think being self-aware and saying, hey, you're a great officer, you got a bunch of experience, but the schedule's not going to work for you, the time frame's not going to work for you, and understanding and not putting someone in position to not be successful is a big piece of how this works, is understanding, hey, you are great, but this position just isn't for you, vice versa, stuff like that. So I think being self-aware in that sense is going to help us get to where we could see Titan vehicles in Oklahoma and Kansas, and they're already in Kansas, but we're based here. Missouri guy here, but Iowa, we've got a branch out in Nebraska, and we want to keep growing.
Yeah. So that's just it's phenomenal things to see and to watch it happen from 15 to 40, and to know that it's still growing.
Right.
It's phenomenal.
Yep. Still struggling to keep up. So. And
that's how you have enough work.
And it's another point, for the PRNs, if there's any others that are kind of wondering, or anybody looking to join, we're always going to be transparent from the get-go.
Yep.
We're not going to sell you snake oil.
Nope.
McFarland's favorite term right there.
Snake oil doesn't get you anywhere.
No.
So you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar.
Right. We're going to be transparent from the get-go, and if it just isn't a good fit, it's not a good fit. That doesn't mean that it's not a good fit 6 months from now.
Right.
No now isn't no forever. So my wife loves that term. But
it's true.
But
100%.
we also need to get into what do we do? I have a lot of questions from the PRNs. What do we do when I'm going to a Balls Food? I don't have any temporary gigs that I'm working this week, and I'm going to a Balls Food and I'm trying to clock in. Who do I call? There's a lot of different questions on that. So, correct me if I'm wrong, boys. That phone call, obviously, they still need to try and clock in with Lighthouse. That's our main goal there.
So, in one of our earlier podcasts, we mentioned.
I think it's the first one.
I do too.
Go to the first podcast.
Our first podcast, we go over the full step
process
of how to clock in, and in the worst case scenario, if none of those work, then reach out to the lieutenant phone, and then we'll get you all squared away and seeing if we can solve the problem. But yeah, that's. When it comes down to it, worst case scenario, there's always that phone number they can call to get any question answered they need.
Yeah, and then there's the email as well if they're having technical issues that we may not have time to diagnose over the phone. And so that's important. And there's also times where, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that the system sometimes just doesn't work, and that's just with no matter what system we have. there's going to be lapse or glitches, and when you're trying to either time in, time out, or whatever, write a report, whatever it might be. So just knowing that ahead of time and being patient, and at the end of the day, we're going to get your situation fixed to where we don't mess with your pay, obviously, and your time. And I've said it in an earlier podcast as well. Those are two extremely important things that we make sure we keep correct. You know, your time off and your pay. So those things like that are always going to be addressed. Some people call 4 or 5 times in a row, and it's like, hey, I'll get to you, I promise.
We're working on it, I swear.
Yeah, I've got, a lot of guys to take care of, but that's something that we're not going to leave you hanging on. And you can ask any of our officers that have been with us long enough to understand that we'll take care of you.
Yep.
Just be patient.
And so how often are you guys getting phone calls from PRNs from, let's say, just working at new regular Titan sites, non
I could probably count on one hand how many times that happens a week, if that.
Yeah, I'd say from talking to PRNs about PRN sites, almost none. I'm pretty sure you and Corporal Perkins do a phenomenal job of keeping them up to date on that. When it comes to regular sites, I'm going to agree with McFarland on this, 1 or 2 a week, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. I was not fishing for a compliment there. I really wasn't.
Sure.
But no, that's great. Just I know there's some confusion there. So,
and honestly, not to interrupt, but it's typically just it's a technical error
Sure.
or something
Yeah.
that's not working, or they don't know if it's working, and they're wanting to make sure. And so it's rarely ever like, hey, this happened. What should I do? You've got them fairly well squared away ahead of time. And again, it reverts back to that vetting process. If they know what they're signing up for day one and that doesn't actually change, they're much more successful.
yep. Well, and some of the work that we do, I kind of wanted to touch on. So we'll do anything from construction sites to, we will, for instance,
pools.
Yeah, sure. Pool HOAs. The HOAs love us. But no, and then we'll do employee terminations. If an employee is terminated from a business and they decide to make a threat against the manager, the company themselves, whatever the case may be.
Happens a lot more often than people think.
Very often.
Yes.
And 9 times out of 10, there's no issues. The guy doesn't come back, but
There's always that one chance.
there's a sense in the safety also of just having a guy there in
Sure.
a uniform that looks good, looks sharp. We'll enforce some restraining orders if there's an issue going on at a person's work where they're worried about that person showing up, and a little bit of everything in between. There's also an opportunity to go out of town. We do a lot of work in Manhattan, Kansas. Go out there, stay in a hotel for a week.
If I remember correctly, and I'm not going to say any city names because I don't know what I can and can't say here, but if I remember correctly, there's actually been talks of going to a city fairly close in Missouri as a potentiality of doing temp work, starting with an S.
Sure. So we're looking to expand. We're looking to expand our temporary services permanently.
It's a funny way to put that.
We want to move in to some other places, so that's in the works, and there's lots of opportunities there.
And it was a good point you brought up of what kind of work. I mean, we've babysat pipelines before. We do football games. I actually partake in some of those just because I love the atmosphere and doing it, and it's it's quite a few officers we need, so the more bodies the better. But pretty much anything, and anybody that's interested in temp services, they would want to reach out to you if they're watching this right now.
So I was going to say that kind of brings up the next question is, say you're a regular officer, you're not a PRN, you're a guy who regularly works balls prize job or whatever, and you're interested in picking up one of those temp shifts. How would you go about doing that?
That's a great point. So first and foremost, turn on those lighthouse notifications. Obviously, we got to get our PRNs plugged into those. That's what they're hired for. That's what they do. But a lot of times we have more temps running than we have PRNs. So keep those notifications on. When we run into that, I'm going to send a message out with exactly what you're doing, where you're at, and what the pay is going to be right there in the message. So
well, and I'm going to make an assumption here that if a PRN's not being used or is being used and somebody offers to help pick up, that gives you one more PRN to take on new business.
Absolutely.
So you're willing to kind of move some puzzle pieces around. What we do a lot is rob Peter to pay Paul, and we're professional robbers of Peter to pay Paul.
Absolutely. Yep.
So good. Well, awesome. Is there anything else you can think of about the PRNs themselves or the job or anything like that you would kind of want to talk about?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered most of it. There's any other questions, I'm happy to take a phone call when I can and let me know.
Do we have any big temp work coming up, or is there anything in particular that you would want to get out to the guys that may be able to assist with the PRN program?
Yeah, absolutely. So Well, we got three big ones. Yeah, we got more than that, but starting in at the end of this month, we do, like you mentioned, McFarland. We're starting up with Lee Summit football, so that's always good. Those are Friday nights, so if anybody's got availability, I'll plug in who I can. I know last year, this is the second year we're doing this. They had a lot of interest, so we'll plug in people where we can.
Yep.
We're doing a big event. We need 20 officers for the 10th of September. So we're going out to Moberly, Missouri. We're gonna do the Orchlands event.
Yep.
So that'll be really
It's
good.
a big one-day deal.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get some buses and we'll all go out and work it out there. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Not a problem. And then lastly, we've got NASCAR. So this is
Right.
the
That's the same
Kansas
weekend,
Speedway.
isn't
I
it?
said this is the second year we've done that one, isn't it?
This is the second one this year.
This year.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
So-
two. It's like football. There's two. It's like playing division games. There's
Yeah.
two games each year. Yes, there's two events for NASCAR this year here, and the second one's September 11th, I think.
Yeah.
'Cause I was actually interested in going to the race.
Yeah, and see that's another.
Of course you would be.
Mm-hmm.
That's all credit.
Go
Yeah,
Blaney.
McFarland's a NASCAR fanatic. Makes sense. But
I do enjoy some NASCAR. Turning left.
no, we did one early in the year, NASCAR, where they had 15, 20 officers out there, and that's just a testimony to our officers there. They went out there and killed it. They did a phenomenal job. They did exactly what they were asked to do for 3 straight days, overnights at the racetrack. And before the contract was even up, they're like, we want you for the end of the year as well. So big shout out to the PRNs on that one. Fantastic job. And a lot of regular officers reached.
Yeah, I
did
think
that
some
one as well.
supervisors actually worked that.
Yeah, we did.
A couple of people, so
Yep.
that usually helps. And it's the football games from last year was a great way for me to get to know and spend some time with the officers.
Yep.
So I'll pick up some temps here and there to help you out when I know you're in a pinch or if something comes up last minute and I'm able to. And I like working them with other officers because a lot of times most of our officers go to work, they're solo, they go to their location, do their job, and then go home. And then just the next day is repeat.
Yep.
And so it's nice to kind of change things up, make a little. And I mean the pay. Go ahead and talk about the pay for those a little bit, just kind of how that works.
So for the PRNs?
Yeah.
So-
or just for temp services.
Yeah, sure. Well,
For officers that may want to pick up a temp.
yeah, so I mean, anytime you pick up a temp, I can guarantee you're going to make more than what your normal hourly rate is at whatever site that you work. So I'll always make sure you're taken care of because, again, especially if I'm reaching out to outside of PRNs, it's emergency. I need somebody quick. So there's going to be a premium rate with that.
Yep.
And then if you want to eventually come on as a PRN, there's a flat rate that you make no matter where you go.
Right.
And that can only go up.
So when you say that flat rate, that means doesn't matter if you're going to a price chopper, if you're
Right.
going to
A
a temp
bank.
site, a bank, or whatever. That flat rate is your base minimum.
Yep.
And then it's only going to go up from there based on the premium of the client of how long the service is running, how quick we have to get it going, and stuff like that.
Exactly, and that's kind of what I always tell our new guys is the only downside. The downside to being a PRN is if I don't have any temporary work next week, you're going to go work normal Titan sites, and it might be a Ball's Food, which is our favorites to work, right? So
We love
do
Ball's
like
Food.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's good work, but you're going to go out there and you're going to make your normal PRN rate.
Well, and that's I think the thing about the PRNs is they like that change. So
Absolutely.
it's not so much what they're going to do. I mean, some sites are more fun than others to work, obviously.
It's the
but
variety.
It is,
Sure.
exactly. It's like I know I'm going to be at the same place 6 days in a row next week. Like me, that's my happy place. I love that because I know what to expect. I manage my expectations. But there's someone, the younger me, the college age me, is like, I want to do something different every day.
Yep.
More often than not, patrol was perfect because it's different hour to hour, let alone every day. You're seeing different stuff, you're getting out, being active, and so I think that's the biggest downfall. But when a month comes that we don't have a bunch of temp stuff is when we'll have to cross that bridge, and I don't see that coming anytime soon. I mean, I know we'll slow down a bit in the winter, but then again,
Yeah, we don't know. That's
we-
the thing.
we just don't.
have
This
nothing
this
to
is a
compare to.
new endeavor for us, doing it this way.
Yep, exactly. So, but you guys are always helping me out with that stuff as well, which I can't thank you enough for. So
well, and vice versa.
I say it's vice versa,
That's how it
back
works.
and forth.
Yep.
that's how we make it work.
There was something else I was going to ask, and I can't remember. It bothers me. Can't think of it.
Well, you think about that. I'm going to let Gary put a comment up here. He says, I've only been with the company a short time, and Titan's been great to me. He goes, especially when Ryan Smith calls me on my birthday. And, that's something Ryan has been doing as long as I can remember, is he reaches out to our officers on their birthdays and our anniversaries and checks in with them. and just sees how they're doing and just kind of gets a basic update from them on life. Do you like your post? Do you still like your post? Have you ever thought about doing PRN? Have you ever thought about going here? And just kind of having a 5-10 minute conversation with them about that, and just kind of getting in their headspace. And I think I've worked for, I don't know, 12 companies in my life, and I've never had an owner call me on my birthday or on the anniversary of me getting hired and be like, hey, how's it going?
I was just going to say that I would be hard pressed to see how many viewers we have that don't work for Titan that currently work for a company where the owner does something like that. And it's just a nice little personal touch. Titan's very family oriented as a work structure, and also understanding that you have to take care of your family, and so they more often than not, and this isn't a shameless me trying to be conceited, we're more often than not being told by our bosses to shut the laptop down and call it a day, because we all have that drive, and I think seeing each other do well is a big part of it too, because we want to succeed for each other.
Yep.
So if someone has to miss for something, we cover down and everything gets handled. So
and I think you hit that on the head. That starts with Ryan, because
exactly.
He's going to ask you how you're doing, how your post is going, and if you say it's not going well, that doesn't just get lost.
No.
So, and that trickles all down from Ryan to Kyle and to Leon. Those guys. I mean, this would be a very different building, a very different company without all those guys.
Yeah.
And our HR department keeping us in line, and everybody from people that are doing the hiring. I think everybody, we're probably not all going to each other's houses and having dinner together, but we're definitely communicating much better in a more family manner than I would. I mean, obviously I work here, so I'm biased. I mean, we all are, but we're very culture driven, and we all look out for each other, and that it's going to be real, like cliche, but that synergy between all the departments, I think, is a huge part of why we are able to do things like, hey, I need a guard in an hour. You reached out to us and say, hey, my PRNs are booked up, but I really want to get this client. It's going to lead on to more business, and I'll call a guy that may owe me a favor. There's not too many left because I've cashed in most of mine, but that comes from developing that relationship with the officers. And I know there's probably 5 to 10 guys I could call right now that would drop what they're doing and help me out. I mean, same with you guys. So,
and even more so with the PRNs.
Right. Yep. So, well, I don't really have much news from the weekend. I hope everybody had a good weekend, like you said. We got a pretty normal week ahead of us. Looks like we got some good temp stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks or months, next month. And then with the fall months coming. Favorite time of year.
So let's kind of dive in on that, since we're kind of out of the work area now. Let's ask Lieutenant Rosas some of our questions. I know he participated last week with some of the debates, but he didn't answer all of the questions in the chat I saw. So
I think I've asked you before, Casey's or Quick Trip?
So you're driving down the road, you've got a Casey's on one side and a Quick Trip on the other.
Equally accessible.
It's always been Casey's for me.
I think so too.
But Quick Trip has mac and cheese now.
Yeah, but
it's game changer, guys.
I don't know.
It's like mac and cheese that's sitting under a burner for like 8 hours. It's like a crusty.
I think when they first, make it, when they first make it, it's probably really good. But you leave it on that burner for 2 or 3 hours while it sits there waiting for the next person to get it. Kind of loses its appeal to me.
Yep.
I used to love, I still love a good Quick Trip. What are those chili cheese or no the buffalo chicken sticks.
Yeah.
The real chicken, I'm sure. 2 years of patrol will do that to you, and I just kind of burn out on them. And Casey's, I don't know if you've been to a newer Casey's. Like, they got rid of the old general store logo and everything. It's just a Casey's. I think there's like a rooster on there or something. And I'm so excited this one opening up down the street from our office here.
Just down the street.
I literally drive by it every day on the way to work, and I should be the project manager there. I'm like, hey, this part of the building's not done yet. We need to get this done, because the newer ones, they've got all kinds of stuff, from great snacks to drinks and stuff. But their food is really good.
Say one thing I will say that I like about Quick Trip, the rollers. I will say I love the roller food, 100%. Their sandwiches are pretty good. The sub you got me that one time, great.
Yeah.
But
was it phenomenal?
It was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
If we can go an entire episode without one person saying phenomenal on here, I will pay each viewer $1, and hopefully don't have a lot.
See, the problem with Casey's is that with the amount of grease on top of that pizza,
you
can throw a fishing line in there.
Yeah, just dab it.
You dab it. You dab it, and then you eat it.
And the napkin literally dissolves into the pizza. But it's good.
Brittany agrees it's Casey's. Casey's is fire, is what Brittany says.
Casey's his fire.
That's probably her craving right now. So
What was it before? I
It's
think
great.
it was
Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John's.
Jimmy
3
John's.
John's.
in the morning. There better be one open somewhere.
And there's not. So.
And there's not.
Start beating on that door. Hey, I need
Uh-huh.
a sandwich.
Yep.
Well, just get the day old bread and just have like a frozen stock of
I tried all
sandwich.
that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. But the freezer's full of frozen baby food. We just don't have room.
But and then the next one was toilet paper over or under.
It's got to be over.
Over.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And then
What?
when it's empty, you just put it on top of the little. It's just easy.
And then a
Lifts up.
magic toilet paper fairy
Yeah.
comes out. When you're married, a magic toilet paper fairy comes out and fixes it.
Yes. Every
If I
single
get
time.
the material to where it needs to be used at, whether that be toilet paper, a shirt, this fairy appears and makes it, get put on a hanger and in my closet, and
amazing.
it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's
It's
pretty
nice.
neat. There was another one I had. What would happen if you took a bite out of your sandwich before you had all your fries? Like, would
Would the world implode?
Yeah, would it be like
Like-
Stranger Things where you go to the upside down world, or like
My daughter would start growing hair on her back. That's what happens. It's just part of it. And, I think on that last podcast, I had several people agree with me. You finish the fries.
I don't know
and
what you're
then you
talking
move on to the
about.
sandwich.
Nobody agreed with you. You're
Yeah.
you're on your own.
There's nothing wrong with that.
it's a mixture.
Yeah, but especially if you
back
have a
and
dipping
forth.
sauce
even
with
better.
your-
No, yeah, it's
Yeah.
exactly. It's
I
a
mean,
mixture.
My
You eat a
burger
couple
may
of
even end
fries.
up in it. Who knows?
Now, here's a question for you guys. There's two things that I love mayonnaise with. One is on a
That
hot
is
dog.
a very
One on a
interesting
on a
start.
hot dog.
I know, right? That
Yes.
Leon,
Okay.
Leon-
Mayonnaise on a hot dog. I had an old guy or
It's
old
great.
supervisor that used to do that. He would get two Quick Trip hot dogs, and he would put mayo on the bun and then the hot dog on top. And I was equally as grossed out as I am now. Then
It's
it's gross.
But then you get a little ramekin of mayonnaise, and that's what you dip your fries in.
Now I'll give him this. I'll eat. I've done that before. That's actually
What?
pretty good.
It's great.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
just do ranch. It's basically mayonnaise with better flavoring in it.
No, it's not.
No, it's not the same. No, like I said, I don't agree with Rosas on much when it comes to eating food because he eats really weirdly.
After that statement, I don't
But-
think we can even be friends anymore.
But I will say that mayonnaise with French fries is actually really good.
I'm not
That
picky.
is disgusting.
Brittany says the world would end if he were to eat his fries and his burger at the same time.
Well,
I
might
wanna,
be
like-
for the best.
Take you to one of those no, I can't think of the word, but they basically I don't know. I'm losing it here. What's they put you in like a trance, and then I want to
Hypnotist?
a hypnotist. I want to videotape you of
Yeah,
after you
we're
go
not
to a
doing that.
hypnotist,
No.
and then it'll see you take a fry and eat it, and then take a bite out of your burger, and then go back, and you're gonna watch it happen. And
I'll just keep eating my fries before my burger without the hypnotist. I'll be all right.
does Brittany do the same?
No,
No, based on her comments, I would assume she
No.
eats.
Did you know
normally.
about this before you married him?
I don't think so.
I doubt
We
it.
got Kaylee saying she's never been to Casey's. Kaylee, you gotta go to Casey's. If you've never
Wow.
been, you have to.
They're not as
Brittany-
frequently around. I mean, you could literally drive by 6 Quick Trips and not even notice it. Casey's are a little more sporadic. They're starting to become more popular, but
That's true.
they
They're-
used to
they're
be
picking
more
up some
rural
speed.
areas.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I live up north of the river in Missouri, and not quite far enough north to really have one within a reasonable distance of my
Oh, yeah.
house.
There's one in
So
every
if
small town.
Any
Every
Casey's
single-
person is listening, please put one in the Parkville, Riverside area. That would be fantastic.
She says absolutely not. She wouldn't. She eats her food regularly, and she did know before.
See
they
how
got
she
married.
noted regularly, like a
She
normal
didn't
human being?
I did that because absolutely not, and then it kind of just makes it sound like she eats regularly like the rest of us.
I wish Leon was watching this. I'm sure. I know he's busy. He's got a lot of meetings today, but he would roast you for that in the comments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mayo on French. I mean, if a little gets on there, it's okay. I'm not gonna throw the fry away.
Delicious.
But if
Kaylee,
you're
I do
willingly
see your comment there about
dunking a
coats.
French
That's
fry in
something.
mayonnaise.
As soon as we get done with the podcast, I'll reach out to you and get you squared away on that.
Oh, got some equipment.
That's a good
equipment
point.
question.
We do have a lot of people asking about patches as well. What's in the coop?
I do. When it comes to outer vest patches,
Mhm.
I have not a lot of people, but there's probably 5 or 6 patches are being ordered today.
Perfect.
So
and
that
they
order
go
goes out.
quick and they take
Yeah,
weeks
so
to get here.
When it comes with patches, guys, you got something you got to understand is I only order a certain amount of them because they're really expensive, and so I have to order. I have an amount I can order. I order that, and then usually once everybody finds out I've got them, everybody comes out of the woodworks and they're like, "Hey, I need patches," and it becomes a hunt for outer vest patches. So they'll be ordered. It usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks once the order's been placed because they've got to be manufactured. and they're all custom made, so it's nothing that there's a pre-built, item out there for it. It's all custom made for us.
Titan doesn't make any money on them.
No,
so
I
just understand that. That's more of a convenience thing.
Yeah, actually. So once they're made and they get delivered, it takes about 3 days. From there, I have a running list of who needs them, and then usually once that list is over, which is when all my patches are gone, then everybody else comes out.
So if I'm a new officer or an existing officer that just got a vest that got approved,
you reach out to one of these two.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Reach out.
We are the only two that approve those, and a big part of the approval process is, will a patch fit on it, and is that something authorized by KCPD or KCKPD that you're allowed to wear legally, and stuff like that. So that has to go through us. So don't just show up with your vest one day and say, "Hey, I'm here for my patch," which does happen quite a bit. It's not frustrating. It's just we've got a lot going on, so we like to have appointments so I can inspect it or he can inspect it, and we have to document it, take pictures, stuff like that, and then you also have to pay a deposit for the patches and stuff. So, and sometimes when officers move on to a department or go into a different industry or whatever, they leave for whatever reason, they bring those patches back, and so we'll have some on supply then too. So that's why people will just say, well, why don't you just order 100 patches? One, they are expensive. Two, we want to get the other ones back because, again, we're not making money off this. This is just a deposit you pay for them.
So to kind of clear that up with the deposit, everybody thinks that deposit is making money. That deposit legitimately covers nothing of what the patch actually costs. They cost probably 2 times more than what the deposit is. So the deposit is specifically for wear and tear, damage due to an incident, or things of that nature. It is they're only for me to be able to say that I have a warranty, and then for me to be able to say, hey, this broke because of this reason. This officer needs a new one. If it wasn't, I would have to sell the patches at full price, and I don't even like paying them for full price, being the retailer for them.
Well, and like you said, it's almost like a warranty program. When I was on patrol, as a patrol supervisor, mine said patrol supervisor, and it was spelled incorrectly. Nobody caught it. We go through them all the time, and one day somebody was behind me, and my radio cord was over it, so you couldn't really see all the time. I didn't really care, but it was either you or someone else at the time that was running the store.
It was our range instructor.
Yes. And you remember that. Yep. And I was like, man, so I went like a week or two, and I was like, I don't want to pay them $50 for a new patch. I literally went up there, and I don't think it was you in the store. I mean, you still helped, but he was like, I'll just give you a new set. So, and that still applies now if we have them.
So, and that's another thing with the patches is with that warranty is it recovers if one of the letters falls off due to normal wear and tear or manufacturer defect or something.
Which does happen.
It does. You bring it back, it's a one-time payment. You don't have to pay it again. If you transfer, say you've gone from security officer to supervisor and you need new supervisor patches, you don't have to pay that fee again. It's a one-time fee. You come back in, and as long as I've got the supervisor patches, we'll just trade out your old ones for your new ones. And then that's it. That's taken care of. So it's a one-time payment. You don't have to worry about paying it over and over and over again.
Get some feedback over there.
I have a Jeff Rosas saying Mr. Rosas. And then I've got Gary, what does it take to make rank? That's actually a really good question.
Who asked that?
Gary.
Okay. That's a fantastic question.
That's a phenomenal question.
There it is.
Lieutenant Rosas, you want to go ahead and answer that one for us?
So it used to be, you touched on this earlier, is, patrol was kind of the fastest, quickest way to get there. Now there's so many different options. Titan has just expanded so much when it comes to our on-site supervisors, patrol supervisors, PRN supervisors. There's all kinds of different options now where it used to be just one. So first and foremost, are we still doing the career advancement program?
I believe yes and no.
A version of it still exists, but the old version that if anybody was with us when we were doing it, I don't believe that version still exists.
Yeah, it's more of an a la carte kind of.
Yeah.
So just make it known. Hey, I'm looking to move up, and understand that it's going to take time. We have hundreds of officers that we're vetting for this, and we want to make sure that you're going to be the right fit for the number of different positions that come open. Now, the biggest thing is don't get discouraged. You come in and you're one of 400 officers, 300 officers, and like, man, when am I ever going to get the shot? Be patient, because those opportunities are it's not win. It's not if, it's win.
It's win.
Yeah, a big piece of that too is kind of getting in front of the right people.
Yeah.
It's no secret there's been supervisors that weren't the best at recognizing talent in the past, and they've moved on to other things. And again, we've got a family-based team here that kind of all thinks similarly, and we all kind of expect the same out of it, each of ourselves and each other, and so we know kind of what standard we have when it comes to someone that is going to go in and dig in the trenches with us. And so part of that is getting recognized and getting in front of the right people, because I applied for sergeant twice and got denied both times before I ever made rank. And then I went from a corporal to a sergeant to a lieutenant in like 8 months. And so that was just getting in front of the right people.
And mine was kind of similar to that. When I had moved from, it took me probably about 7 months, 8 months to get noticed to even go to patrol. And it was probably about a year before I was even, they were like, hey, you know what? You might actually be a good fit. Are you still interested? And then when I did move over to it, I think I was moved in and out of patrol corporal, I think 2 or 3 times due to new candidates coming back from working PD or transferring departments and having a space in between, so we hired them back. And then when I hit sergeant, it was takeoff point from there. I'd moved from 2 or 3 different versions of sergeant to, you know.
I think that's one of the first times I started to get to know you was when you were an FTO sergeant, because I was a patrol corporal, and I was working a different shift, so we saw each other in passing. And like you said, I think you were 2 different type of sergeants, FTO sergeant and this regular sergeant, right?
So I've been the technical classification, I think I've been 3. But technically, you know, the technical side of it aside, it was really only 2.
Well, technically, for my first FTO, you gave me a 3 out of 5.
I did.
It's probably well deserved.
Actually, I think I gave you I think I told you I gave you 3, but I think I actually gave you a 4.
Yeah, you're like, I don't give anybody new more than a 3. And I was like, man,
it's like some of the range instructors. I'm not going to say any names that I've dealt with in the past that are from different organizations. I shot a 99, and one of my bullets was on the line, and he goes, nobody in my class or in my range gets 100. I go, that's a representation of your teaching. So it's like a professor. It's like half of you are going to fail. Maybe you should get better at teaching then. Like, that's your job. I'm here to learn, be eager, you know, to learn, but taking pride in fail rate is not. A
big thing that you mentioned there is something I used to say a lot is, hey, nobody gets a 5. Well, the funny thing is I used to say that a lot because in my mind, and this was before I kind of got in with some better teachers than I was the fact that if I told you that and I was like, hey, this is what's going to help you, and then I would coach you and give you some information and try and improve you, and I would never tell you you'd get a 5, but I'd always give you one, and then a month later I'd come back and go, actually, you rocked out real well and you got a 5 on your last eval, and you'd be like, but you told me. I did, but look at you now you're scoring your second 5, and it shows a trend. And so in my mind it helped, but in reality it wasn't.
Well, that works for some people, and
right.
I'm not going to say any names here either, but there was an officer we had a couple months ago that everybody really liked, and I always give everybody the benefit of the doubt until you prove me wrong. And so this officer that we were dealing with, Lieutenant Coop and I, kind of seems like a used car salesman a little bit, and you know, so down the road, that officer ended up getting a really big head because he or she felt like, hey, I'm hot stuff because all these people that are high up really, really like me, and ended up being a mediocre officer. And so that's something that you were fixing with that method. And then there's other people that are really hard on themselves and sometimes need that reinforcement. So everybody's a little different, but like you said, don't be discouraged. Keep getting after it. Let us know that you want to move up because, again, you hit the nail on the head as well. We're growing so fast. We need more supervisors. There's just only so much this small core group of supervisors can do until we start needing help. And I mean, PRN program's been going for a couple months now, and you already have a corporal.
Right.
I mean, look how fast that happened.
Yep.
Gary, to answer your point there, downside is you're the only one in your area. That may be the case for the only officer in the area, but the work you do, the points you bring up, and things like that, stuff like that doesn't go unnoticed. So that's where that working hard, coming in early, offering to pick up extra stuff, offering solutions, things like that, that's where those will come in and chime in and show the supervisors, hey, this officer actually pays attention a lot. They've got a lot of value they can add, not just as an officer, but maybe as a potential supervisor.
Well, and like Lieutenant Rosas said, if you inform him of that, then he can know to maybe that he has potential to take on work in that area. Get another certification out there, get another license. I mean, that was the first thing that I tried to do here is I became a firearms instructor. As many feathers as I can put in my hat as possible, and here in the near future I'll be taking an active shooter course that will be another certification I have. And it's I don't do that to just say, oh, look at all these pins I have. No, I do it because it helps me be a better asset to the team here. So if one of our bosses needs to take a day off from range, I can step in, or Lieutenant Coop can. It just makes you more of a useful multi-tool. And so that's something that we would like to see with our guys is, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get a Topeka license because I live 5 minutes away. Well, the next time Rosas gets a temp gig for Topeka, he's going to call you. And again, the temp stuff pays well because it's last minute. It's that matrix, the speed, time, and quality.
Yep.
Well, the temp is speed and time, or quality and time. So there's no sacrifice of quality there because the compensation for the gig.
Well, and I don't want to name that site out there, but that's the only site that we have out there that he's working.
Yes,
currently,
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, Gary, I'll reach out to you. That could be really helpful. I like that.
Dollars.
You're gonna steal another one? I
steal
love
another one
stealing them.
Not the first one.
Love stealing them.
Won't be the last one either.
Well, it's starting. You guys are starting to steal them back now, though. As
We're
well.
trying.
You're either getting
We
them
try to.
permanently, or you're they're helping
try
start
to.
up.
Yeah.
So
Well, you signed up three existing officers this or last week, didn't you?
Mhm.
That were
We
moving
took-
from another post.
We took 2.
Yeah.
So he's up-
you're
he's up
still
1.
We're still -1, but
dang it.
Charles, welcome to the podcast. Going well today. Doing well. We got
Which Charles is that? Is that Mr. Skaggs?
just Charles. that's
he's a
all it
PRN,
says.
isn't he?
Yeah.
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 Says he's working a double today.
Of course he is.
Is that him?
think
HR,
so.
please
Ignore
Rewind,
the
yeah.
ignore the
double,
comment.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So, but guys, we're gonna have to cut it short. We're gonna have to cut it out here. I appreciate everybody joining us, throwing down some comments and participating today. We got some more meetings we got to hop on to.
We had a couple pop
Gary
up.
says he's going to get with you about potential clients.
I like it.
So I appreciate you guys stopping by today, hanging out with us for this podcast. And
Sorry, the time frame's a little different. We got to work our schedule
Yeah.
around.
so we're going to be live again Friday afternoon, hopefully around 2 o'clock, more normal time. If you guys are watching the podcast afterwards and have any questions, please comment. Let me know. I check the comments almost on a daily basis, so I can hopefully get back to you guys. If we don't get back in this podcast, we'll hopefully get you in the next one. And we look forward to seeing everybody. And I want to thank Lieutenant Rosas here for hanging out with us for this podcast and giving us some information on the PRNs.
Absolutely.
And we hope to see him again soon next on another podcast.
Absolutely.
So
your ratings go up the more that I'm here. Just so you know.
Yeah, no, we just did that so you'd stop crying about being on the show.
Yeah.
So we appreciate it. Everybody enjoy your week. And again, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
Stay safe out there.